Welcome along then to one of the highlights in the FIS Cross Country World Cup calendar here in Oslo, the Holmenkollen Ski Festival. Of course, we've been covering the Nordic combined events this weekend, the ski jumping, everything that goes on in this famous old ski festival, over 100 years old. But the centerpiece of it in many ways is this, the 50k mass start, the classic technique, 6 8.3 kilometer loops, total of just under 2,000 meters in ascent. Pretty much the toughest course out there on the FIS World Cup circuit. As I say, they'll go around 6 times. We've got the women's 30k where they do 3 of those loops to come on Sunday. But this is the start list here, and it's a star-studded start list here in Holmenkollen in Oslo. Johannes Klæbo at the moment leading the standings, of course, the FIS World Cup standings, looking to cement his position, but plenty of threats there, as you can see, the likes of the former winner, Martin Jonsrud Sundby, also going down as well. The list here, the start list, plenty of other threats as well. Saw there the likes of Sjur Rota, was third in the World Championship free last weekend. Ivo Niskanen as well, was runner-up here a couple of years ago. It's a full start list here. It's a race that they all want to be part of. One of the biggest events in the calendar, even following hot on the heels of the World Championships in the Tyrolean Alps in Seefeld last weekend. This event, the 50k here in Oslo, the Holmenkollen, still very much a jewel in the crown of the calendar, one that they all want to win. Getting ready then to start here. 50k classic technique this year, alternates. Last year it was free technique. There's the man who's not been off the podium here since 2010 when he didn't finish the race. Martin Jonsrud Sundby, winning another world title in Seefeld recently in the 15k classic. Get on the podium in the 50k free. Very successful World Championships for him. Johannes Klæbo battling some issues away from the track recently. Been in court on a driving ban issue back in his native area, but can focus on what's going on here on the track right now. One of the many contenders alongside former Olympic gold medalist Simen Kruger. Norway absolutely dominant here, but we also have other countries as well. Specifically represented the Russian here, Alexander Bolshinov, who was runner-up in the 50k free in Seefeld last weekend. And the winner, Hans Christer Herland. Just about set and ready to go then here for the 50k. So here we are then, one of the most famous races in the cross-country ski calendar, and it's underway here, the Holmenkollen 50k. Classic technique this year, even in a World Championship year, as we've had most recently in Seefeld. This race still one that they all want to win, and it's a star-studded lineup. Beginning here, the first of 6 8.3 kilometer loops. Some 330 meters of ascent on each of those loops, and a lot of it actually, if you break down the course here, as we take another look at the start, seems to be a pretty clean start for all of them, all of the leaders, all of the lead contenders. The likes of Klæbo and Bolshinov and Sundby got away nicely, no problems there. See, there's some light snowfall as well, which make things a little bit slower going. As we're saying, the course overall, 8.3 kilometers or so this loop, but it's most of the ascent actually taking place in the first section of the loop here, where they get up towards the high point. Then on it drops down, and although there are a few ascents from there, it's really the difficulties here are in the first couple of Ks. See how they handle the fact that it is snowing pretty steadily here. That will affect the race pace. So much tradition around this particular race, goes back over 100 years. And as I was saying, even in a World Championship year where, if you compare it to other sports, even other disciplines within winter sports where the premium races sometimes maybe lose a little bit of luster in a World Championship or Olympic year, this never really happens with this ski festival with the Holmenkollen. Already we've been covering the Nordic combined events here this weekend. We've got the raw air ski jumping as well. So much going on and such a well-supported event, steeped in tradition. Diagonal stride then. Very early days in this one. That's a big part of things with the Holmenkollen as well, the Folkefest that goes on here. All the big Norwegian races, they do start them young. They dig themselves a position overnight, get in place, get ready to cheer on the elites the following morning. Plenty of fun to be had out on the tracks overnight with those basically camping out overnight. So many people do it, it's a big part of the tradition. Fresh snow falling in the tracks here, which will slow things down a little bit. Waxing considerations to be had here as well. See all of them going with wax because of the difficult nature here of the course, particularly, as I say, this first 2.5 kilometers. The ascent is pretty steady and pretty challenging. Nicely into position here. There's the familiar figure there, Sundby. Sundby, who's never been off the podium here since 2010. Won the race a couple of times for a third victory. Push him out in front, the whole host of other athletes. Interesting to see how Hans Christer Hurland goes on as well here, wearing number 8. Look out for him. He's the world champion from the 50k free last weekend in Seefeld. But others in the field here as well, likes of last year's winner Dario Colonia, Olympic champion, the Swiss, wearing 21. Can't rule him out either of contention, knows how to win here. Lots of support for them as they come round the loop. In front here at the moment, got in behind there, there's Simon Hegstad Kruger, the Norwegian. Sundby just putting himself in position in the lead group. No cause for alarm yet, still very early on in the race. Sundby won the Holmenkollen a couple of years in a row, 2016 and 2017, and the Norwegian support will be looking to him again, although there are many other contenders, the likes of Sjøruta and Kröger that I mentioned, as well as the world champion Hurland. Huge group of them at this point. Any chance of any sort of breakaway as of yet, still very early on. Hurland was interesting in the free in Seefeld last weekend because broke away from the rest of the field. It was 22 Ks into that race. Very early break, which paid off for him. Bolshanov was the only one to be able to keep with him. And even he finished in the end, although he narrowed his advantage a bit by the end. It was still 27.8 seconds in the end between the two. It was a fantastic win for Hurland. He said afterwards that he felt like it was his last chance. He doesn't think he's going to be around in terms of the World Championships a couple of years' time, be a contender there. So that was his chance in Austria to win a World Championship, which he managed to do. Really good story. can do here backing up. It's always a little bit difficult after such a high point like that to come straight back out for such a big race the following weekend. But he's here and competing, as they all are. Continuing this gradual ascent, climb in altitude at this point. This is the first checkpoint, 2.2 kilometers in, where we can get an idea of pace. Those are the split timings. Let's have a look as they come through to that 2.2 kilometer checkpoint. Not so much who's leading at this stage, but more the sort of speed. As I say, the little bit of light snowfall slowing things down a touch. Klæbo, the World Cup leader, through first of all there in 7 minutes 11 seconds, 0.5. All come through behind him, the likes of Vilek Janin and Rikardson, very experienced. World Championships and Olympic Games amongst those two, for instance, lots of experience. The support is quite something here. Hope you're getting a feel for that if you've never watched this this race before. Just how much winter sport is in the blood of this country, the most successful nation. And in cross-country ski, they are the dominant force, and it'd be a huge surprise. I suppose Bolshinov is going to be the key contender to upset the Norwegian hopes of another winner here. Other than that, you can only really see Norwegians. But there are threats, as I say, the likes of Niskanen and Cologne there. They can stay with the group. Definitely contenders to win this race, this famous old race. So firmly through the 2.2 kilometer checkpoint now. See whether any of the elites here can start to stretch the pace a little bit, stretch the field as they come through, because we've got points on offer as well. Bonus points at the end of each lap. That's what they're setting up to here. The first of them, of course, 3 kilometers in, and that's the push towards the bonus points that are offered, the first of 6 stages. Who's going to take the points here? It's a really close battle going on here to the line. 3 kilometers in for the points. Valuable points in the World Cup standings. Just ease through here, Klæbo, to take some more points in his bid to wrap up the overall title. Just ahead of Bolshinov, and they can take a breather now. And Klæbo adding to his numbers. Very impressive how he just took charge there, Klæbo, leading with 1,134 points overall in the FIS World Cup standings in the battle for the Crystal Globe, and adding to it there with those bonus points here in the Holmenkollen. So here into the, coming towards halfway now in the first of 6 loops here in the Holmenkollen 50k here in Oslo. Meaningful action so far, contributed by the World Cup leader Johannes Hustvik Klæbo, the Norwegian, who's taken the first of the bonus sprint points. Klæbo, who came into this leading the World Cup standings. Just 7 events left, including this one. Seasonal honours still very much up for grabs, because Klæbo needs those points. He started with 1,134 points. Bolshinov not far behind him with 1,058. Crowds here have seen their man, Klæbo, do what's required so far. He was first through the 2.2 kilometer split and took the points at the 3 kilometer marker. Next of those bonus point standings, not actually for a little while, not till 11.3 kilometers in, so we can take a back seat on that for now, and focus here on how they're going as they reach the high point of the course. Gone past that now making the gradual drop in altitude, It is a tricky course, this one. Little mini hills in the course of the 8.3-kilometre loop. It's one that you can never really relax. That is why it's considered to be one of the toughest, if not the toughest, cross-country loops that we have in the circuit. Never really rest up. I mean, if you think of some of the longer races, not so much in the FIS World Cup calendar, but some of these skiers sometimes take part in the longest ski marathons. The longest, for example, was last weekend, same day as the 50k free in Seyfeld, the Vasaloppet, 90 k's. Well, that's a relatively flat course. We've got that one long hill at the beginning on that trek from Sellen to Mora. But it's a relatively flat course from then on. This one here, the Holmenkollen, is just challenging, I think, all the way through. You've got that first 2.5 k's, which is very tricky with the spike in altitude. But even from then on, still challenges in the rest of the loop. And the fact is they have to do it 6 times. It's a constant push on your body. A big part of the tradition here, though. People come back year after year to watch not just the 50k here, but all the other events that go on in the Holmenkollen Ski Festival weekends. Seeing an interesting race in its early stages here. Klæbo having done what he's needed to do so far. Can others get involved as it goes on? Simon Bigstad Kruger, his compatriot, with Sjur Rutte just in behind him. Rutte won a season-high 3 men's distance events this World Cup campaign this winter. Compare that with the Swiss Dario Colonia, also in this field. He won 4 distance World Cup races last term. So Rutte here can tie that mark if he can win the Holmenkollen here today. Dress also a big part of things here. They'll wait for the skiers to come back and join them again next loop. That's the great thing about this circuit as well. You can take your position out there and you know you're going to see these elites a number of times. The way the track and the way the race is set up. Still Kruger leading the way here of the group at the moment. Interesting here at Klæbo leading at 2.2 and 3 kilometers ahead of Bolshinov. Kruger leading through 5 k's through the next point. Just checking the pace on that overall. It's pretty consistent. Came through in 14 minutes 40.3. I think that Klæbo came through 2.2 k's in 7 minutes and 11. The pace is pretty steady right now. Kruger just ahead of Rutte with Bolshinov, Niskanen, Daniel Stock as well, the Norwegian, right in touch, and others just a second or so behind. World champion Hans Christer Herland as well, nicely in there. Next marker will be 5.9 kilometers in. Some timings on that for you. Just a little slip there from Kruger. Track's pretty tricky here with the fresh snowfall that we've had this morning. A little bit on the heavier side. Sort of huge group though, very early to consider any sort of breakout attempt. That won't come for some time. Okay, here is the 5.9 kilometer next checkpoint I was talking about. Through now, it's Alexander Besmertnik, another Russian. Talk a lot about Alexander Bolshinov. but it's Bess Mertenich there who is got the nod through 5.9 Ks, but you can see all the other elite contenders firmly in touch within a few seconds of him. Just about 44 Ks left now, still a long way to go in this Holmenkollen. Bess Mertenich leading the way through that checkpoint. Alexander Bess Mertenich then leading the way at the moment. Bess Mertenich did very well in the 15K Classic in Seefeld at the World Championships recently. He's hit the front here, taking turns, the elites do the hard work here. Regular checkpoints allow us to consider the speed here. We'll have a look again at 6.8 kilometers in. The other thing about this race that's interesting is just how much experience there is in the field, not just the amount of World Championships and Olympic Games experience we've got here out on the course, but also as Simon Høgstad Kruger comes through there, through 6.8 Ks, just nipping in front, just under 19 minutes. The pace is steady at the moment. Now, there was saying that we've got a lot of course, a lot of elite experience, but a lot of experience at this race, which is something that you see over the years. Skiers come back and ski this one. I mentioned that it's such an established part of the calendar. Don't tend to miss this race. Sundby, of course, with the tremendous record of podiums, as well as the couple of victories in this race. Hasn't been off the podium since 2010. But others as well, got multiple appearances in this race. The likes of Colonia, Rickardsson as well, Swede. Famous sweaters, Norwegian sweaters, real a collector's item, but also just part of the uniform. Absolutely loving it here. The atmosphere, the tradition. Through the underpass here now, and coming around just over 20 minutes in. Nothing major to report really, other than Klæbo picking up those bonus points with the sprint at 3 kilometers in. Reminder, of course, that the next one will be 11.3, and so that'll be firmly into the second lap. The world champion Hans Christer Herlund through there first, as we reach the penultimate checkpoint, the last of the checkpoints for the first loop. 7.6 kilometers there. Now the push for the end of the first loop. Really is such a fantastically organised event, this one as well. And just adding to the mix the fact that the World Cup standings are still in the balance, that Klæbo particularly in the overall FIS World Cup standings still has a bit of work to do despite being in very good form. I think he's helped by the fact that if you look at the remaining 6 races after the Holmenkollen here, 3 of those are sprint races, where of course he's dominated this winter. That is his forte. Dearly love to win this distance race, this most prestigious of distance races here. Not a favourite to do though, I'd say, with the likes of Sundby and Herlund, Reuter as well in there, and Colonia. Noise just goes up a notch or two as the Norwegians lead the way, coming in towards the main stadium area and the end of the first loop of 6 here in the 2019 Holmenkollen 50K. He's going to get the nod here as they come round. Seems to be too much of a fight for it here, is there now though, as they come round. Trying to get the nod here through the end of the first loop. through now and to the end of the first 8.3 kilometre loop. Just past the service teams as well, offering up refreshment if they need it at this point. Service staff, waxing teams do such a big job as well, getting the athletes ready as always, particularly in these conditions with light snowfall. Challenging to get the combinations right, the setup right in the skis. And they come round now into the main area, the start-finish area, to finish off the first of these 6 loops in the Holmenkollen. And it's Iversen there who's got the nod there. Emil Iversen, the Norwegian. And just a few seconds still separating him from the chasers. Britain's Andrew Musgrave in there in contention as well, just under 10 seconds back. And it's all nicely set for the remaining loops, the remaining 5 loops at this stage. No hazards so far. Decent pace being set, with Iversen getting the nod. It'll be a big surprise if he can stay there, though, of course. We have so many big names right with him. Through the first loop, then, of 6 here in the Holmenkollen. So into the second loop of 6 here in the 2019 Holmenkollen, the 50K men's classic technique. Emil Iversen just ahead of a whole host of contenders, the Norwegian, at the end of the first 8.3 kilometre loop. They begin again now. This very tricky first 2.5 kilometres of the loop. The 333 metre spike or so in altitude becomes even more demanding as you go on, as you have to do it again and again, and big reason why this course is considered so difficult. Crowds have been here, settled in for a very long time. I mentioned earlier that many camping here from overnight, getting up the, setting up the fires and the tents, campfires, getting in good position out on the course to get their vantage point in this most famous of races. And Krista Herland, 50K world champion from last weekend in Seefeld, hitting the front here. 45 skiers on the start line. Herland looking very smooth, in big confidence, of course, having won that title, that world championship finally last weekend. Become the second athlete, Herland, to win both the 50K at a World Championships, as he did in the Tyrolean Alps, and the Holmenkollen 50K World Cup race in a single year. There's only one man who's ever done that, so the odds are stacked against Herland to some degree. That was Bjorn Hjelmset, who did that back in 2007, won the World Championship title and the Holmenkollen 50K events in the same year. And for Herland as well, who's at the front of things here, he can become create even a bit more of history, because he can become the first man to claim the double in 2 different styles. He won that 50K in the free technique last weekend. Was this the Holmenkollen this year being skied in the classic technique? No one's ever done that before, so you can look at it one of 2 ways for Herland, really. Say on one sense, well, it's hardly been, that hasn't been done, and only one man has won the World Championship 50K and the Holmenkollen 50K in the same year, so you'd say extremely difficult to do, which, yes, it is. But on the other hand, chance for a bit of history here. He's certainly in the right sort of shape, Herland. I just wonder, and that's why it's so difficult to do, whether it's just a bit too much to do it the following weekend, because it's always the way when the World Championships falls, where it falls, it's always directly before the Holmenkollen. You look at the history of the Holmenkollen Ski Festival as well, it's only ever not been skied. But once, when they were doing renovation of the circuit, of the track, of the facilities here, that was back in 2009, where the races, the World Cup races, were relocated to Trondheim. And other than that, it's really been when the World Championships have been hosted here multiple times. But otherwise, it often follows hard off the back of the World Championships. Therefore, it's difficult for the world champion after the high, if you like, of having done that particularly for Holland as well. As he said, it was his last chance, he felt, really, to win a world title. Such an emotional high in Austria that he achieved, to get yourself back out again for such a big race the following weekend. I mean, the elites here are used to that, but such an emotional high, and physically draining as well. The way he managed that race, broke away very early on, that would have taken its toll to have finished that off. He had to do enough in the end. He was a fairly comfortable winner over Bolshinov in the end, but still had some work to do at the end. And my point is that it's difficult to back up sometimes when you're in an elite field again the following weekend, such as we've got here in Oslo. It's difficult to find your best form again so quickly afterwards. Well, he's taken a tumble. Sure, he'll be okay. Back with the action here, approaching 30 minutes in, expecting this race pace to be a bit on the slower side, over 2 hours. Just because a lot of snow falling in the tracks, fresh snow, that makes things slower, the race pace slower. Here we are then, through to 2.2 kilometers of the second loop. It's 10.5 in overall. Get another idea of the pace here. Definitely quickening up a little bit as we go on. It is again Alexander Besmertenik. He led through one of the checkpoints on the first loop. He comes through there, 30 minutes, 39.7. I mean, it's not super quick, but it is speeding up a little bit as they go on. Maybe conditions getting a touch less difficult. There seems to be quite so much fresh snow falling into the tracks now, as was the case in the first loop. See so many different flags being represented, not just the Norwegian colours. Swedes, of course, with not far to travel, but American support as well here. Americans, of course, you think of the Women's World Cup standings at the moment, how well Jess Diggins is doing. Top 5 in the standings. We've got the Women's 30K technique, classic technique tomorrow to come here, the Holmenkollen, the 30K for the women. Ingolvad Flugstad Höstberg, Norwegian leading, but that's a very tight World Cup race as well, just like we've got here in the men's side between Klæbo and Bolshinov, Höstberg and Neprieva, not separated by much, and also Krista Parmakovsky, the Finn, involved there in third position. Coming through here towards the second of the bonus sprint points on offer. Meanwhile, who's going to take this? It was Klæbo who took them at 3 kilometers in. Who's going to take the points this time? Huge cheers going round here. Who will prevail? With the bonus points on offer. Mentioned it's such a tight World Cup race overall, and these points matter. The second of 6 sets of bonus points on offer. It was Klæbo last time round. It's going to be that way again. Really is cleaning up. Nicely through again, timing it beautifully. Klæbo takes the bonus points again, just ahead of Bolshinov. Bolshinov, the Russian, I think, happy to let his Norwegian opponent there take the points. Because really, yes, they're useful, but the big points on offer for the overall race victory and all the prestige that goes with that, and Bolshinov, no doubt, will be targeting that in his battle, not just to win the Holmenkollen, but also reduce the gap and try and overhaul Klæbo in the overall FIS World Cup standings. Klæbo taking the first 2 sets of bonus points on offer here in Oslo. See if he can keep that going later, with 4 more sets still to come. A little bit cut adrift there. So 2 of the bonus points offered up now and handed out. It's still the major contenders right in sway there, including Johannes Husfoot-Klæbo as they move through the second loop. Well, it's shaping up to be a fascinating Holmenkollen 50K, as it nearly always is here in Oslo. These are the standings at the moment. Mention the 2 sets of bonus points on offer so far taken by Johannes Husfoot-Klæbo, the overall FIS World Cup leader. He's extended his lead, taking the bonus points there. 15 bonus points for the first checkpoint and another 15, so he's up to 1,164 points now overall. These are the updated standings reflecting those first couple of bonus point stages. But as I was saying a little bit earlier, Alexander Bolshanov, I think, quite happy to let Klæbo come through and use a bit of energy to come through and take those bonus points because of what's on offer overall. He'll be targeting the race victory, as will Klæbo. But in the distance format, Bolshanov will fancy his chances. In the sprints, well, that's Klæbo's absolute forte, as we've seen this winter. Although he's extended the lead now by 30 points over Bolshanov, having only come in, of course, here. Is it 76 points ahead, so now 106 ahead of the Russian. So many more points on offer for actually winning the race, so that's what Bolshanov will be looking to target in his attempts to haul Klæbo in those overall standings. And looking at those overall standings, Sjø-Ruta, former winner of this race back in 2015, another Norwegian, when it was run as a freestyle event, freestyle mass start, classic of course this year. Ruta some way back, 755 World Cup points, coming in third position in the battle for the Crystal Globe. Those season titles are still going to go for another few events yet, still 6 events to come after this one in the FIS Cross Country World Cup calendar. So it won't be decided here regardless, even if Klæbo was to go on and win this race. Is he wearing the overall yellow jersey, Klæbo? Nicely in position there in the lead group. Right now you can see the ski jumping hill right in behind. Of course, the ski jumping, the Nordic combined events, huge part of things this weekend in the ski festival here at the Holmenkollen, and it's the world champion Hans Christer Høland, similarly to the first loop, who's come through there. That checkpoint, 13.3 kilometers in, so 5 kilometers into this second loop of 6. Høland there just ahead of Andrei Larkov, another good Russian, with another Russian, Alexei Chivotkin, just in behind. Then it was Sundby, Stock, the American Scott Patterson, and Ruta as well, and Daniel Rickardsson. Rickardsson, the Swede, another former winner of this race, the year prior to Sjø-Ruta. Rickardsson won a thrilling classic mass start that year, back in 2014, just ahead of Martin Jondrud Sundby and Alexander Legkov. Sundby's record here actually has been frightening, not just the 2 wins, 2016 and 2017. I mentioned he wasn't off the podium, hasn't been off the podium since 2010. It's the whole clutch of second and third places, including last year where he was runner-up in the freestyle to Daria Kolonia and Maxim Vilegjanin, who's also the Russian involved in this field, in their third position. We've seen Alexander Besmertenik as well, leading through a couple of checkpoints. He was third to Sundby and Ivo Niskanen a couple of years ago here. So familiar faces once again in the field. Those who've done well in the last few years in this particular race. No letdown at the moment from Erland here. He's just out of the tracks, herringboning up this gradual ascent. Tricky conditions, aren't they? Just slipping a few times there with the herringboning, just illustrating that it is tricky out there. Autograph hunter there for Klæbo, who's such a big star in a country that lives and breathes winter sport, especially cross-country ski. I'm sure he'll be willing to oblige afterwards. At the moment, Klæbo has got his hands full out on the track here. Just dropped off into the from that lead group. It's allowed Daniel Rickardsson, the Swede, the former winner of this race from 2014, to lead through the next checkpoint. It's the penultimate checkpoint of the second loop. Again, the race pace, nothing special. 41 minutes, 19 seconds, 0.1, but that will not matter for whoever the race winner is, one jot. Ready, of course, they're allowed to change skis here during the race, get a new set on. Set up nicely for when they come round to, they want change a new pair to a new set of skis, because well, the wax really coming under real strain with the amount of fresh snow that's fallen into the tracks. So a fresh pair, much appreciated. Still Rickardsson here, the Swede, hitting the front. Listen to the encouragement for them all, not just the Norwegians, as they come round here now. Another checkpoint here that Rickardsson wins. Still one more to come before the end of the second loop. Andrew Musgrave there, the Brit, still right in touch, 13.8 seconds back. That's not a lot at this stage. So not too long to go now on the second loop of 6 here in the Holmenkollen. Daniel Rickardsson, the former race winner from 2014, hitting the front here in testing conditions with continuing snowfall. It's been some light snowfall here in Oslo since the start of the race through the morning. Means the tracks, light snowfall getting into the tracks, slowing the race pace down a touch. But no major mishaps so far through the first 15 Ks of this race. Meanwhile, hard work continues to dig deeper, get a great position in. This is the equivalent, I suppose, of a summer camp, what they do out here, the campfire. Just start them, well, pretty much from when they're out of the womb here, get them involved in winter sport. It's a big part of why Norway as a country produces so many elite athletes. Not long left on this second loop now. So one more checkpoint. Then they'll come through to 16.5 kilometers or so in. One more checkpoint to come here at 15.9. They've been through that now. 3/4 of an hour in. Still a huge group at this point. Would it be too much to expect maybe for a Hurland-inspired breakout like we had last weekend in Austria? That occurred some 22 kilometers into that World Championship 50K. Still too early to consider anything. That was very early on. It really took, I think the rest of the field took us all by surprise how early Hurland went. Managed to extend it, improve that position and hold on to it. Take the gold medal. Huge cheers then as they come round again, the main stadium area. Skis are lined up here if they want them. That'll be for later. Nicely set up at the moment. Interesting to see who can make a push as this goes on. Some drinks being offered up here as well. Let's take some refreshment on board. So important to stay hydrated in these conditions, such a challenging course. Nutrition absolutely fundamental. Getting that regular intake of fluids on board. Also the training aspect as well. Since Seefeld last weekend, there's been some light training going on, nothing too strenuous because World Championships physically and mentally demanding. See a few of the skiers here coming off to change to a second set of skis, which is perfectly allowed. Just got to find your right set. Others deciding to leave it a little bit longer. But a lot deciding in these difficult conditions to go and change for a new set. Kleber, meanwhile, through the 2 loops, leading the way. Let's see whether those new skis can have an impact as it goes on. That familiar figure of Johannes Hosfot Klæbo, wearing the yellow overall World Cup leaders bib jersey, leading through 2 loops, now taking on the front of the lead group. Very nicely at the moment. Still would think that might be one of the others that wins this a longer distance race. It's not his total strength, but he's ticking all the boxes so far, Klæbo, that's for sure. So through 2 loops now. Johannes Hosfot Klæbo has done everything that he would have been looking to do so far here, winning both of the bonus point sections across the first 2 loops. And now at the front, firmly, nicely ensconced in the front of this pack, the Holmenkollen. Key rivals there alongside him. The likes of the 2-time former winner, Martin Jonsrud Sundby, just to the side of him. Daniel Rickardsson as well. Alexander Besmertenik. Whole group of contenders. Is the standings then. This is through 2 loops. See some of the others. Alex Harvey there, just a few seconds back. The Canadian. See, there's some who decided, the ones who've just before, that's why they've dropped back. They're at the back of the field, have changed onto their second set of skis. So don't read too much into those standings, because they obviously just dropped off in order to do this. They'll be back up now at the front after that change of skis. So into the second loop here, and again, once again, the climb, the ascent. Can someone start to possibly make a decisive move here as we get towards 20 Ks of the race? Klæbo will be concerned with more bonus points as well, not too far away. Next of the third of the 6 bonus point standings. Although Bolshinov seems to be happy to let him have them, if Klæbo can win all of those, well, you do the numbers, 15 points on offer for each bonus stage win. That's 90 points, then in a tight overall World Cup race. Very valuable, so I'm not sure Bolshinov will be just willing to let him win all of them. He's been happy enough to let him have the first 2. I think Bolshinov would be keen to win at least 1 or 2 himself. Still a big old group here to the third loop. Of course, completion of 3 loops, we will be halfway through the race, more or less 25 Ks in. And you just start to see as it goes on, maybe not so much in this loop, but historically as it goes on, the 4th, the 5th time round, definitely the 6th and final time, up here, up the hill, it really starts to take its toll on the athletes. It's just the nature of that 330 meters of altitude that they're dealing with at the moment, that it's not uniform. It is a little bit up and down as well. Very difficult to settle into any sort of rhythm. Moving around the corner now here. Too far away from those bonus points I was talking about. Klæbo's got himself right in position for those. Still a huge group though, snaking back. No one able really to stretch the field as of yet. That's to be expected. Isn't it as well? The vista there, the forest lining, absolutely beautiful. And the falling snow contributing as well, even though I'm sure the elites, when they saw this morning, were not too happy about that. They'd rather have no falling snow, gentler conditions than what they've got here. Around now here to 18.8 kilometers in, which in terms of the point standings, very important. Getting in position for that. Bonus points on offer, not this one, but the next. De Fabiani now, the Italian. Haven't seen so much of him so far, Francesco De Fabiani. He's through there in first position. Klæbo will be steadying himself for the next checkpoint because he wants those sprint points again. Coming up to an hour now into this race. Not quite halfway yet. It's going to be a slow race, over 2 hours. Ellen Kvistler there as well. Norwegian in the group. Beside the familiar figures of Klæbo. Emil Iversen there, another Norwegian. Listen to the noise as well. They really don't let up here. Every time coming round, as loud, if not louder than before. Listen to it again. It's just going up now in volume. And here we have Klæbo in position again. Emil Iversen with him this time in the race for the points. He'll let them have them. Klæbo wants this. Absolutely timing it beautifully. Bolshunov having just dropped off the front at the previous checkpoint. Here's the battle for the third of the 6 sets of bonus points. 15 points on offer again here, and Klæbo will want them again. Klæbo is going to take this. It's going to be 3 out of 3 on the bonus points on the sprints here in Oslo for the Norwegian. Easy does it ahead of his compatriot Iversen, with Chivotkin in third. Bolshunov right in touch, but prioritising Bolshunov a push at the race victory, as I've said a few times. Not so interested in spending energy on those individual point standings. Happy to let Klæbo have them. If he can take the overall victory, that's what he will be pinning his hopes on. Field now getting a little bit more stretched. Saw Andrew Musgrave, the Brit, there, almost 24 seconds back now off that pace set by Klæbo. Drift now, those two at the back of the field, but Klæbo with a little look round knew that the job was done. That's 3 out of 3 now in the bonus point standings here in Oslo for the Norwegian. So here we are into the third loop. We're not far short now of halfway here in the Holmenkollen, the 50k Mass Start Classic. An hour into this race. These are the overall updated standings. Johannes Hosford Klæbo, if you're just joining us, extending the lead now up. And it was 76 points coming in. He's eked out a few more points. Bolshunov scoring each time, but Klæbo ahead of him, increasing his lead in the overall standings. Still a long way to go, though. That won't be decided here. If Klæbo could win the Holmenkollen, then it would help him a lot, the points on offer there. But with 6 stages still left, 6 events, as we've been saying, it's still going to be very much up for grabs. That's the case with the women's event as well. I mean, the big story, of course, it's going to be amazing here tomorrow, because you have Therese Johaug, the Norwegian, back in front of her home support. She's been absolutely incredible on her return to action this winter in the FIS World Cup events. 800 points overall, still with a shot, although unlikely in the overall standings. 800 points, it's a compatriot Østberg, Ingvild Østberg, who's got 1,237. But Johaug, really, I mean, what an amazing story. 3 titles at the World Championships, all 7 of her World Cup starts in distance races that she's won, And now just a big question of whether she will make another run for the World Cup title. Just over 400 points behind. She'll need to realistically win the race tomorrow, the 30k free. She's won that race twice before, been second a couple of times. So you wouldn't rule it out, the way Johaug has returned and what she's done, the amazing World Championships that she had. Wouldn't rule her getting close to Usberg and the others, Prieva and Parmakovsky, the top three, over the course of the rest of the season, because for the women, just like for the men, there's still 6 events to come after this weekend here in Oslo. So loads more points still on offer. Sometimes the Crystal Globes can be decided with several stages to go. You've had that over the years where you've had a dominant factor, dominant skier who's won it with, say, 4 or 5 stages to go sometimes. Don't think that's going to be the case this time in either the men's or the women's disciplines. Very well set up, well poised at this stage. As is this race, heading into the second hour and heading towards the halfway marker. Next checkpoint, 21.6 kilometers in. Last time around, 2 kilometers ago, it was Klæbo who took the bonus points ahead of Iversen, with Chivotkin in third, Bolshinov in fourth. Clock stopping there for a moment. Just get that timing clarified for you here. There we go then, it's another former race winner, Schuh-Rothe. We're in an hour, 2 minutes and 49.9. Just ahead of Ivo Niskanen. Former race runner-up from a couple of years ago, the Finn. Andrei Larkov clocked through in third there. But Klæbo back in sixth, just under 3 seconds back. Bolshinov just over 3 seconds back behind him, along with Hans Christer Hurland, the world champion. So they're all in position. Even looking further back in the field, Andrew Musgrave now 7, 8 seconds back off the pace. Snow continues to fall here. Still another checkpoint before we, another couple actually, before pretty much reach halfway. Regular checkpoints here. Key ones, of course, early in the loop, where the bonus points, the sprint points are on offer, which Klæbo has cleaned up on and so far has taken 3 out of 3. Klæbo's progress has been interesting. He's been the best sprinter. Bolshinov's been the best in the distance events in general in the winter season. 3 of the remaining 6 races after here in the Holmenkollen are sprint stages. That's why probably give Klæbo the edge overall. He's got the lead, had the 70-point or so advantage over Bolshinov coming in here. I think the Russian, even though it's going to go for some weeks yet, some events yet, you make Klæbo the favourite, not just because he's got the points lead, but also the fact that half of the remaining events are sprint events where he'll be favoured to win all of those. So it puts pressure on Bolshinov to deliver in the others, and indeed deliver here, deliver the race victory if he really wants to win the overall title. 22.5 kilometres in now. The lead's been changing hands at each of the checkpoints. Last time around it was Schuh-Rothe, the Norwegian. Who is it going to be this time? It is Rothe once again. Niskanen again just in behind, and Daniel Stock, the Norwegian, into third position. Such a big group behind them though, just a few seconds behind. Bolshinov, Harvey, Sundby, Iversen, as well as Klæbo. Just taking a breather off the back of those leaders after his efforts in winning the first 3 bonus sprint point standings. Everyone well wrapped up, of course. Snow continuing to fall. Terrific attendance here. They've got so much to enjoy over the course of the weekend, not just the longer distances here, the 50k today for the men, the 30k tomorrow for the women, but of course we've been covering here on Eurosport the Nordic Combined. Nordic Combined event here is a huge one, as is the raw air, the ski jumping events on the hill. Not all just about the cross-country skiing, even if this is the centerpiece for the moment. Such a famous race. Rutte here really looking to set a decent pace. And he's through that latest checkpoint, again ahead of the rest. All of these really saw their back 14, 15 seconds back. That can still be made up. There's still plenty of time to go. I wouldn't say anything decisive has happened as of yet. Apart from Klæbo winning those bonus points, that's about it. All set up into the second half of the race to see what will happen, whether anything will happen for a while. But anything like what happened last weekend in Seefeld can happen again here. It is Holland who's one of the elites who's involved in the lead group. He made that very dynamic, gutsy push at 22 kilometers in. Again, the fresh pairs of skis are on offer for those who didn't take them at the end of the second loop. If you haven't taken them there, then generally the rest will come in now. They've done half the race. It's just that difference really in strategy. Some prefer in these heavier conditions with the falling snow to come in and change their set very early, 2 loops in. Others prefer to do it more or less at halfway, just over halfway, 3 loops in. Get that opportunity, of course that's well within the FIS rules to do that. Klæbo certainly won't be to make a push at this point. I want the race to be fairly tight, as long as it can be. Suits his sprinting prowess. Just an amazing athlete, Klæbo. Multiple Olympic gold medals. Ideally, he would love to add the Holmenkollen title to his burgeoning list of successes. Not far to halfway now. Rutte again through the checkpoint first. Klæbo there just under 3 seconds back. Bolshinov 3.5 seconds adrift. Alex Harvey, the Canadian, 4.4 seconds behind Rutte. And Holland, the world champion, 4.9 seconds back. So he's still right in touch, as well as is Daniel Rickardsson, the Swede. The veteran, 36 years of age. Vilek Jarlin as well, right in there. There's a question now of the others who didn't change their set of skis. Will be doing so now. 3 rounds to the end of the 3rd loop. Take a little look over those who haven't changed their skis already, get themselves in position to do just that when they turn round. Get themselves ready for the second half of this Holmenkollen. After all the jostling for position, the groundwork's been laid in the first half. Really, the big battles can begin in the second half to come, and it's a case of the elites here just steadying themselves for what is to come very, very soon. Huge cheers again for all of them, the Norwegians included, of course, the stars, Rutte and Sundby. Daniel Stock as well there. Emil Iversen too. It's Rota again. Others who, as I say, hadn't changed skis, now coming in to do just that. It's the end of this third loop. Quick change and off and running again to join the rest of the lead group. Back with the leaders then. The quarter almost gone. So here we are then, basically 3 loops through now, halfway through the Holmenkollen 50K, and all the key contenders still in touch at the front. The likes of Sjur Rota and Emil Iversen there, the Norwegian duo at the front of things. But also Ivan Niskanen, Alexander Bolshinov, Alex Harvey, Martin Jonsrud Sundby, and Johannes Husford Klæbo, all right in the mix. Host of stars, one of which will add their name to the illustrious honour roll here at the Holmenkollen race, which goes back over 100 years. And they start the loop again for a 4th time. This is really where it starts to get very taxing. That 300-metre spike in altitude. Massive factor as it goes on. Just every time, how much you've invested each time to get through it. When you have to come and do it again, you've got to watch on their diagonal stride technique here. Won't be quite as sharp, as good at this point when they come towards the tricky uphill sections of this ascent. Oh, and what's happened here? That will be that. That's Alexander Besmertnik there, the Russian, who's decided to call it quits. He was doing pretty nicely, actually. Besmertnik earlier in the race was first through a couple of the checkpoints, but obviously something's gone on there. Not exactly sure what, but he's decided to call it quits. Many remain, though, even with the Russian out of contention now. Once again, on the build-up to the 4th bonus point stage, it'll be Klæbo, who you'll see try and get himself in position. He's a bit off the front at the moment. His compatriots Rota and Iversen, who are at the front of things. Taking a chance here for a quick breather. This course doesn't give you many opportunities to do that. And there's Jens Berman, Swede. We haven't seen too much of Berman so far, wearing 17. A few Swedes in this lineup, actually. Not just him and Daniel Rickardsson, but also as well, alongside Berman and Rickardsson, Oscar Svensson as well. Berman, along with the whole host of other contenders. Sundby there, the familiar figure. Dominant force in this race over the last decade, really now. Knows this course as well as anyone, Sundby. Great shot that, isn't it, of them coming up this section, the climb. Real dynamism about how they attack it. So one of the youngster from one of the local ski clubs, Linsky Mustarazen. So many good local ski clubs as well, all that tradition. So Berman there in the group, he's wearing 17 there at the moment. The Swede. 24 years of age, Berman. Represented his country the last Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang in the skiathlon and the free, as well as the classic mass start. He was 28th in the mass start in Pyeongchang in the 50k classic. World Championship experience as well in the 50k free in Lahti last time around. Very good junior career as well. Silver medalist in the 10k classic junior event in Felder Fiemme back in 2014. Not someone that we haven't mentioned so much, Jens Berman, but someone at 24 years of age who's got a lot of experience to bring to the track here, alongside all those bigger names that they've come out to see here. To the next checkpoint here, 27.1 kilometers in. It's Rota who's been getting the nod through these checkpoints so far in recent times. He was ahead of Sundby and Iversen last time around. Is that going to be the same again here? This time it's actually the Russian Chivotkin, Alexei Chivotkin, who's got the nod ahead of Alexander Bolshanov, but they really are neck and neck. Iversen, Niskanen, Jens Berman that I was mentioning, the Swede. Sundby just under 3 seconds back. Rutte 3 seconds, 3.1 seconds adrift. And Andrei Larkov completing the top 8 there. Little over 20 kilometers to go. Shaping up to be a very tight race. No breakaway attempt yet, although the field starting to get a bit more stretched now. Demands of that initial 2.5 kilometer ascent starting to take their effect on some of the athletes here. It's the relentless nature of this Holmenkollen course really does get to you in the end. Chivotkin there wearing number 18 his bib. Is right in touch at the moment. Some of the back markers here in the lead group making their way round now. This really is maybe the noisiest section of the track, of the course here. Really pumped up. Where is Klæbo again? Thinking of those sprint points. So we start to get a significant move here coming up towards not far short of 30 kilometers into the 50. It's been such a cagey race in many ways so far. We'll look back around there. Don't think Klæbo's going to keep his run of points going here. He's won the 3 first bonus point standings, but I think his run is going to come to an end here as they reach the 4th sprint bonus points on offer. And these here are won by Bolshanov. So hitting back the Russian here, Alexander Bolshanov, terms of the overall standings. Klæbo only 9th there. Bolshinov will be pleased about that after Klæbo won the first 3, although Bolshinov did score across those first 3 bonus point standings. The Russian there taking the maximum 15 points to reduce Klæbo's overall FIS World Cup lead. More importantly, getting himself in very good position to have a push at the race victory, Bolshinov. He's been the man in distance events this winter. It would be no surprise if he won the Holmenkollen here. But it's a long way to go. Not far short now of 20 kilometers to go. Bolshinov having taken those points. Had a little look round there. He was trying to spot Klæbo, I think. And quite happy to see him quite far adrift in the bonus point standings that time. Bolshinov hitting back here on the 4th loop. Back with us in here in the updated standings. You can see Alexander Bolshinov reducing the lead now back down to 78 points. He started the Holmenkollen 76 behind Klæbo. Klæbo had stretched it just over 100 points after the 3 first bonus point checkpoints. But Bolshinov with that victory in the 4th bonus point standing with Klæbo only back in 9th means that it's more or less as you were. Back to 78 points adrift, 76 they started, so some good work done there by the Russian. Some distance between himself and the Norwegian Klæbo there at that 4th checkpoint. Still 2 more to go. They'll have their own little part to play, and I'm sure Bolshinov will be looking for points there as it goes on, but above all, he'll want the race victory. Service staff do such a good job out on the course, something that's never think can be discussed enough. All athletes, when they come through, when they've done well, I like it when they acknowledge their team. Not just saying that they had great skis, but the work that's put in behind the scenes in the waxing stations, teams, the amount of hours put in to explore all the different possible combinations. At the moment, doesn't seem to be too much to separate the elites in terms of the equipment they've got, how well it's performing out there. At this stage, 20 kilometers left of things. Really could be anyone's here. No significant breakaway attempt at all. Just keep on going, don't they? Tremendous atmosphere here. It's the women's 30K still to come on Sunday. And Therese Johaug will be the centre of attention. If she can win this particular race, the Holmenkollen 30K once again. All part of a big weekend of action here in Oslo. Norwegians predictably at the head of things again. Will it be more home success? Looking at the recent history of this event, of course, Sundby is a big part of it, but it's not always Norwegians who win this race. Yes, of course, they've been dominant. You go back towards the beginning of the decade with Petter Northug winning this race a couple of years in a row. Eldar Rønning as well, winning it in 2012. Come through again, it's Røthe, Sjur Røthe, another former winner. I was talking about former winners of the race who's hit the front again here. Just over 20 kilometers to go. Røthe, the winner from 2015, building on that point I was mentioning about Norwegian winners. Sundby, a winner a couple of years in a row, but in amongst that, we've had the likes of Alexander Ledkov in 2013, Daniel Rickardsson on this field as well, 2014, and last year, of course, it was Dario Colonia, the Swiss, who got the better of Sundby. Maxime Villegjanin. It is possible for there to be a non-Norwegian winner, but it's so difficult just in terms of the sport in general. You look at both the men's and the women's fields, how many good Norwegian skiers there are. Very difficult for the other countries, but it is possible. Ivo Niskanen there, for example, the Finn, wearing number 6, is a contender. Runner-up in this race a couple of years ago. And interesting here from the jury, Alexander Bolshunov's been given a warning. Obviously has said something, wasn't aware of that. Given a warning for unsportsmanlike behaviour. Well, there's a lot on the line here, so that explains why. I don't know why he's reacted like that, but he's got a warning for it. Very interesting. I don't think it'll allow it to affect him. Bolshunov looking to become the third athlete from Russia, of course, to win the Holmenkollen. Alexander Legkov, I mentioned, winning it in 2013, one of those non-Norwegian winners of the event in the last decade. There's also Alexei Prokhorov, who won this race a couple of times in the 1990s, 1993, and then again 5 years later, 1998. Prokhorov won this Holmenkollen. Bolshunov there, you can see it in the lead group. Still so young as well, Bolshunov. I was thinking that watching the World Championships in Seefeld last weekend, where he was a runner-up, still just 22 years old, barely 22 years old, skiing here today. It's not generally an event, this one, that's won by super young skiers. Generally, it's a case that the winners have built a career already, have been around a while. I'm not saying Bolshunov can't win, but you go back in terms of the history of the event, the youngest winner back in 1997, a skier called Pietro Cotra won this race, and he was 22 years and 85 days old. So Bolshunov can become the youngest winner of this event. He's only 22 years and 68 days old as of today. But he'll have his work cut out the way this is developing. It's very tight at the moment, an hour and a half in. Rota here leading the way in the Holmenkollen. Now firmly under 20 Ks to go. This is, I suppose, the comparatively easier section of the loop. And they just continue to enjoy themselves, keeping warm, keeping active. And the lowest point of this this loop, 313 meters above sea level. It's not the altitude in itself, because the high point they've passed now for this loop, 421 meters above sea level. That's not much. I mean, you go into Central European races, there's a ski marathon taking place tomorrow, for instance, the Engadine ski marathon in the center of Switzerland, where altitude is more of a factor. Here, though, it's just the nature of the course, the spikes in altitude, rather than the raw altitude, which is the factor. Come through that latest checkpoint there. Leading the way there in the context of the race. Hurl through first. Not sure that means too much at this stage. Johan Hurl, another of the Norwegians. through there in an hour and 31 minutes and 44.3, just ahead of Rota and Niskanen. Also saw there Giandomenico Salvadori, the Italian, in touch, as is the case with another man who's just been in the pack. Haven't spoken too much about him, Simon Högstad-Kröger, 5th position, but Sundby and Klæbo and Iversen all in the top 8, just a few seconds back. Now to change your skis twice, of course. Maximum twice in the course of a race, so it's again set up nicely here for the end of the 4th loop. It's got that balance, of course, there, because you do lose some time changing skis, but you do need to do it. .5 kilometers to go. Rota through just ahead of Hole this time. Sundby and Klæbo still top 8, still in touch, as is Rickardsson. All of them really going right the way back. Alex Harvey there, just under 10 seconds back, the Canadian. A very tight race. I mean, would not rule out some sort of sprint finish here at this stage. Very tough to get away, to make any sort of breakaway attempt. And there hasn't really been a serious attempt at one. It's all just about managing your own race and putting yourself in position if it is going to be a sprint finish. Getting yourself in position for that. Klæbo will not mind that at all. He'd love to win this race, and the way the race has developed may well favour him if it leads to a sprint finish. Deep breath for Emil Iversen there as he negotiates that turn. Hard work with the double poling there along that flat section. Now round the left turn there, back into the main stadium area. Opportunity to change skis. I'm sure will be taken by some here. See how many decide to do that with over a couple of loops remaining in this 50k. Through the arch there, and another chance to get on some fluid, some refreshment here. Not really been taken by the leaders, some of them. It's always an individual choice here, just a little shake of the head there from Iversen, who wants to get on with the job. Set the pace here and stretch this lead group perhaps a little bit more, Iversen. See some of the leaders going off to change skis for a second time. Permissible, totally allowed. Iversen has gone to do that, yes. So that's why he was looking to set the pace up. Iversen, one of those to go and change skis. Ahead of the couple of remaining loops in this 50k here in the Holmenkollen. Klæbo's gone that way as well. So all the leaders, really, the lead contenders. Oh, Klæbo, they're just taking a little bit of time. Lost a few seconds there. Getting the bindings in place. Hopefully that won't be too costly for him, but he's got to make that up because meanwhile they have gotten away. Make that ground up now. They're well set now. The new set of skis for the remaining 2 loops. Here is how it stands then, with many of the lead contenders having taken their second onto their 3rd set of skis now. Just Johan Hurl of the leaders not deciding to do that. As you can see, most now having changed at least once. Niskanen having changed twice now. Some of those you'll expect to make the ground up now, having changed for a second time. So back with the action here in Oslo. Entering the key stage of the race now, you feel, although it might not be for a little while yet, it's still such a big lead group here with the key contenders, the likes of Martin Jonsrud, Sundby, right in the mix. No really telling push made. Maybe we're just a bit spoiled in a way by those fantastic World Championships in Seefeld last weekend in the 50K, where Holland just managed to break away from everyone else so early on. Many mass starts actually end up being this way, tight and cagey for a long time. That's the way this race has been in tricky conditions. So again, the light snowfall that's been there throughout has just tended to ease a little bit, which the skiers will be pleased about, because this is now extremely demanding into the fifth loop of 6. Now 41 minutes in, real test on the body now. Made the point earlier on the commentary. Many of these athletes, of course, involved in the World Championships, they're used to putting in that number of hours, but there's a bit of fatigue going on here as well. Mention why for Holland, the world champion in the 50K, why that's very rarely been done. It's only been done once because it's just extremely demanding on the body to respond so quickly. Who can peak here and really find their best form? This is Simon Høgstad Kruger, who's trying to set the pace up the front. It's Berman just in behind him. The likes of Sundby right in touch, as is Alexander Bolshanov. Just getting broken up a bit, isn't it? It's still a big pack, this lead group. Still a good 10, 12 skiers in there, and you can see it snakes back. These guys are all still right in touch here. Not impossible to make that ground up, not by any stretch. Really demanding on the body at this stage. Hour and 3/4 in. Just see a little bit, some flaws in the technique here in the diagonal stride coming up that section. That's to be expected. This is one, if not the most demanding FIS World Cup cross-country course out there, with the challenges it presents. So little respite here in the course. What you do have, of course, is if you are feeling it, you have that tremendous encouragement, fair sporting encouragement offered from the sidelines. There's so many spectators here who are lining the tracks, all nationalities, but just all love the sport. All very fair, all wearing different sorts of attire. They really are enjoying themselves, and a thrilling conclusion in prospect to this Holmenkollen 50K right now. So many possibilities, permutations. As we come through towards the next checkpoint, you see they're not far away from it now. Still such a big group. .14.5 kilometers to go. It's Kruger leading the way, just ahead of Jens Berman. Bolshanov, Alexander Bolshanov just behind him. Sundby, Larkov, Iversen, Francesco De Fabiani, Johan Hurl rounding out the top 8. But all these guys are in touch. Alex Harvey in 18th, 13 or so seconds back in the mix. Even Niskanen's just dropped back a little bit. He was one of those to change skis at the end of the previous loop. He's 20 seconds adrift, but don't count him out. Make his way up through the field. He's got that speed. Ahead of things, though, at the moment, it's Kruger, Berman, Bolshanov. Sundby tucked in behind. Klæbo having dropped back a little bit here, so it's a big opportunity for Bolshinov to really keep the pressure on. Listen to the encouragement. I mean, that's got to give you a boost when you're coming around there, around that tight bend in an uphill section of the course, and then you get that encouragement. That's amazing. Full of colour, vibrancy, all of what this race is all about, the Holmenkollen, going back over 100 years. And it just pushes you through if you're feeling it now here in this uphill section on this 5th loop of 6. A lot of skiers with a lot of experience of completing this course in fine style, but they will still appreciate that encouragement. Just gives them a bit of an extra adrenaline boost as they come through towards the penultimate bonus point stage. Who's going to take the points here? It won't be Klæbo again. Last time around it was Bolshinov who took the maximum points to cut Klæbo's lead. Is it going to be a similar sort of story here? Another little look round. And it is again Bolshinov who's delivered. Maximum 15 points. And where is Klæbo? That is some significant damage done there by Bolshinov. Still waiting for Klæbo here. There is Klæbo back in 23rd position at the moment, some 27 seconds back. So a real opportunity here for Bolshinov over the remainder of this race to make some significant headway in the overall FIS World Cup standings. We'll flash up the updated virtual standings for you in a moment, the calculations. He trailed, remember, by 78 points, having cut it, having won the 4th bonus point stage, but he's won the 5th as well. And it's the key thing is how far back Klæbo was. This is a big opportunity for the Russian, make no mistake, and he's got to take it really, as I say, because the 6 stages to come, half of them are sprints where Klæbo will be a favourite. So Bolshinov has to deliver in these situations, and the Russians certainly did it there. Maximum points with Klæbo well adrift that time. 1 more bonus stage to come. Here are the points on offer, so 15 for Bolshinov, the maximum 15. Kruger and Iversen scoring there, Berman and Sundby as well. Larkov and De Fabiani right the way back, but as you can see, no points for Klæbo there. The big news then that Alexander Bolshinov cutting Johannes Husvik Klæbo's overall FIS World Cup lead down now. We'll confirm this, but leave down on the virtual standings down to 63 points after winning the last 2 bonus point stages. That was after Klæbo had won the first 3 in this Holmenkollen, but crucially Bolshinov scored quite significantly across those first 3 stages. That hasn't really been the case with Klæbo in the last couple of stages. Here are the updated standings. As I say, it is now, as my mental arithmetic was correct, 63 points separating the 2 of them. Reuter and Kruger scoring there, but well adrift. It's really a battle in the overall standing between the Norwegian Klæbo and the Russian Bolshinov. But Bolshinov has a huge opportunity here over the remainder of the race, not just to win the final bonus point stage, but actually go on and win the Holmenkollen and take the points with it. Maybe Klæbo is just struggling a little bit with the pace. Not really his forte, the longer distance races. He is more of a sprinter. And a hammock as well they've set up. They really do think of everything here. Nice way to enjoy the action. The atmosphere continues to build here. Is this a little attempt being made now for the first time in a bit of a breakaway up the ascent? Being caught here, being think they're responding to that, the group. They don't want him to get away too much, Bolshinov. But he's certainly stretching the field here. You can see it's getting more stretched out on this uphill section. Bolshinov leading the way. He's right in touch, though. His pace has ever so slightly quickened up as well. Not one of the quicker Holmenkollens you're likely to see, because the conditions, especially in the first half of the race, were pretty tricky. But the light snowfall has stopped for the moment. Good conditions now out there. Firm and fairly fast. You can see that Bolshinov is one who's trying to increase the race speed, go higher speed, really stretch the rest of the field. Just an hour and 51 minutes in. Taking that loop now into the famous stadium here with the ski jumping hill behind. Under 12 kilometers to go now in the 2019 Holmenkollen. This battle here at the moment between Bolshinov and Emil Iversen, but the others are right in touch. The likes of Chivotkin and former winner Sundby, Kruger and Holland, the world champion. Rutte there, who's led for large parts of the race, 10 seconds back. I think there's a real effort here on the part of Bolshinov and Iversen with him to try and increase the race pace now, heading towards the final 10, 11 kilometers of this race. Snake round here over the underpass. Main road that runs through here. Such a great facility that they've got here with the stadium, with the good hotels, quality of hotels nearby where the athletes stay, and their teams, spectators as well. Very, very good quality hotels in nice, easy reach of the venue. Everything really catered for, taken care of here. It is a stunning setting. Holmenkollen Stadium, steeped in history and tradition, and who is going to add their name to the honour roll here? Bolshinov and Iversen looking to set pace, but they've been pegged back by Chivotkin and Sundby and Kruger and the rest, and Holland as well. Just that little stretch from Bolshinov. Next marker, 9.2 kilometers in. Remains a big group here, led by the Russian, the runner-up from the 50k in Seefeld, behind Holland, behind Hans Christer Holland. It's Alexander Bolshinov, the Russian. 6 podium finishes, Bolshinov, in individual distance events in this World Cup season. That's many more, at least 3 more than any other athlete. Emil Iversen, though, is right up with him, the Norwegian. Over the first 2 through that previous checkpoint. Right behind them here, a whole host of stars. Tough uphill section, as you can see, with all the powder. No real tracks there to speak of. Herringboning, the only real opportunity to negotiate that section of the course. A little look round there from Iversen, and you can see the huge group. There's the updated standings then, with just under 11 kilometers to go here in the Holmenkollen. Bolshinov and Iversen still well placed, but so is Sundby, Kruger, Holland, Larkov and the rest. Absolutely in the balance, this one. So, not much over 10 kilometers left then of the 50k Holmenkollen here, the prestige race in cross-country ski on the FIS World Cup circuit. Who's going to win it here? Whole myriad of contenders at this point. Some familiar names, some less so. Just looking at some of those who are involved in the lead group, whether they can keep it going at this stage. Some names you might not be so familiar with. Ilya Semikov, the Russian, is in there in the lead group. The last checkpoint as we look back towards the city. Beautiful city that it is, of course, of Oslo. Now under 10Ks to go. Another marker here. Maxime Villegjanin getting the nod there. He's another one in contention. Of course, he's very experienced, Olympian. On there, top 20, just 9 seconds behind. More interested actually in Johannes Osvald Klæbo and how he's dropped back. Some real damage to his overall World Cup lead at the moment, with the way Bolshunov's doing. The Russian maximise it and win this race, take the maximum points. I think he'll be looking at the 6th and final bonus point stage as well. Want to clean up there with maximum points. 63 points adrift of Klæbo in the live standings, and with the opportunity to erode that lead of the Norwegians even further. Those who haven't changed skis ahead of the final loop will have the opportunity to do so ahead of that loop. And everyone on slightly different strategies. That is the last chance now ahead of the last loop. 8.3 kilometer loops. The women in the 30k do 3 of those loops. Two hours in now. Still another loop to come. A little bit more than that. Just over 9Ks left. Emil Iversen this time through the checkpoint. 1 hour 57:29.2. Klæbo still not in the top 20 right now. The subplot to things. Bolshunov will be enjoying that. Sure that information being fed through. His team and his rival at the moment is struggling a little bit. Keep up with the pace. Familiar bells ring here as we get towards the end of the 5th loop of 6. And again, it's a huge group in contention at the head of this men's Holmenkollen 50k. Stunning vista, stunning scenery around that serves as the backdrop for this most stunning, prestigious and historic of races. Over 100 years of history. Chivotkin again still right in touch. The Russians are doing very nicely here with Bolshunov and Chivotkin there, and Andrei Larkov as well, who was top 8 last time around. And here we go. This is a look at how Klæbo is struggling at the moment compared to Bolshunov's pace. Look at these numbers. With just 9 to go, Klæbo has fallen right back, almost 50 seconds adrift. So this goes down in the course of this World Cup season as a massive opportunity now for Alexander Bolshunov to make serious headway in the race for the overall Crystal Globe. And of course, possibly win this race himself for the first time. Turning into a very good day's work for Bolshunov, who's right in there at the head of things. Even if it is his compatriot Chivotkin who's setting the pace at the moment. You can see Bolshunov there on the outside. Takes on a little bit of refreshment. But he'll be steadying himself ahead of the final loop and making sure that he takes those final set of bonus points, those 15 bonus points, with Klæbo very unlikely to get anything at all. All started so well over the first half of the race for the Norwegian. He took the first 3 bonus point standings, but since then, he's fallen away. And this goes down as a super opportunity for Bolsjunov. Those who haven't changed skis with their final opportunity to do so now ahead of the last loop. Most of the key contenders actually did change skis at the start of the 5th loop, the penultimate loop that they're just going to complete. Those who haven't, amongst them Sjur Ruta, former winner of this race. He's quickly got that done and dusted and can rejoin the action, as can Simon Hødskjær Kruger, his fellow Norwegian. Those two hadn't done it, but a lot of the lead contenders not jumping in there because they'd done it at the previous loop. Heading into the 3rd hour. All in the balance. Look at the snaking line back. Just over 8 kilometers to go. Into the final loop. Bolsjunov getting the nod there as they enter the final loop, leading through 5 completed loops. The Russian, just ahead of Emil Iversen and Alexei Chevotkin, Bilekjanin, Sundby, Harvey, Larkov, and Bucher Johannesson as well. Thomas Bucher Johannesson, the Norwegian, in 8th place as well, just under 5 seconds adrift. Haven't really said much about him yet. Just been in the pack. Can he make a push? It's a lovely mix, isn't it, of established names, some lesser-known ones looking to really make their mark here. As we've seen over the years, skiers have done that, have made the podium, not necessarily won the race, but made the podium. Think, for example, of Nicholas Dørhaug, the Norwegian a few years ago, who finished 2nd to Sundby in the 2016 edition when it was a classic mass start. Dørhaug really announcing his quality in that year's edition of the Holmenkollen. Could it be for Bucher Johannesson to do that this time? Really is set up beautifully here as they go into the early stages of this final loop of 6 here in Oslo. So all to ski for here as we head into the 3rd hour of this year's Holmenkollen here in Oslo. Big stories so far here in the early stages of this final loop of 6. Now 8 kilometers to go. Just how much damage Alexander Bolsjunov is going to be able to do on Johannes Høstvåg Klæbo's overall FIS World Cup cross-country lead here. First things first for Bolsjunov will be trying to secure maximum points at the final 6th and final sprint bonus checkpoint here in the Holmenkollen, and then go on and maybe try and take the race victory. Klæbo is nowhere. Not a factor here, not with the lead group. Therefore, this represents a massive opportunity for Bolsjunov. Still 6 events left, of course, in the season, and Klæbo will be back, especially with half of those being sprint stages. But here in Oslo, Bolsjunov with a big chance. Trailing by 63 points at the moment, and should narrow that down to 48 by taking a maximum 15. I don't think people will try and, the other skiers will try and put up much of a challenge when we get to there. I think Bolsjunov should take those points. You can just see the gap development there as well to Ivo Niskanen. He's a former runner-up in this race, but what's more interesting is the gap development that Bolsjunov opened up on Klæbo, which is even greater than that you just saw between Bolsjunov and the Finn Niskanen. Berman there, doing very nicely, the Swede. This is Sjur Ruta, 3 there, the Norwegian, back into the scheme of things. Again, Martin Jonsrud Sundby is there. Who's going to prevail? Still some, best part of 20 minutes remaining on this. Berman here trying to stretch the pace, the Swede. Trying to make a move, perhaps. I think Bolsjunov just a little bit further back there. Top 5 will be steadying himself for the bonus points to make a push for that. Whether he actually just considers the race as a whole here, just is happy to score. Just tapping his thighs Out a little bit there, Bolshinov, looking to extract a bit more from himself. Come up towards another checkpoint. Encouragement continues to ring loud and clear around the course here at the Holmenkollen, and they need it now here as they negotiate this grueling uphill section, the first 2.5 kilometers of this loop, for a 6th and final time. Really is demanding at this point. It was demanding the first time round, but 6 of 6, very difficult. Eyes on the leaders, but also I would say as well, all eyes on Bolshinov as well. So the others here trying to keep in touch. Finding it tough going up that hill section of the course. Coming through here, just over 6 kilometers to go. Snow having the light snowfall of earlier, which slowed things down, having relented now, having stopped. Through to this 43.8 kilometer checkpoint. After this, there are still 5 further markers to go before the 50 kilometer finish. Big thing will be the next one though for Bolshinov. Take maximum sprint points that will be on offer there, but who's going to get the nod through this one? It is the Swede Berman. 2 hours 7 minutes 59.6, just ahead of Chivotkin and Iversen, Larkov and Rota. Bolshinov there in 6th position, just 2.4 seconds back. He's got himself in good position now for the final bonus point stage to come, as he looks to reduce Klæbo's lead further. Swedish flag waving proudly. A Swede won here, Daniel Rickardsson, 5 years ago, ahead of Sundby and Ledkov. Berman possibly win the race here. Wasn't fancy to do it. That's what I mentioned. This Holmenkollen sometimes can throw up a bit of a surprise. More often than not, it's an established name that wins. You sometimes get a breakout star, someone who just comes through, it's their day. They produce the performance required to win the race. Berman would go into that category if he could do it here. And to be honest, sure, Rota winning here 4 years ago, that was a breakout attempt for him, breakout victory. It does happen. In and amongst all the established names who win this race. You get some surprises as well some years. The fact that we're going to get a massed finish here likely lends itself to that. There haven't really been any serious breakaway attempts. Still a big group. And coming through here around the main section towards the bonus points on offer, and we look all eyes on Bolshinov, the Russian here. He looks to get himself in position for the maximum points. Just slips there a couple of times, Bolshinov. It's very, very powdery up that section. He's pushing himself into position, the Russian, to score some points again. What can he do here? Can't imagine the others are going to go too hard at it. But does Bolshinov want to go too hard? Can he get a clear track at things? Here he goes now on the outside track, Bolshinov, looking to try and go through for some points. He might not get the maximum points here. Can he get it through to the line? Will he be allowed to? No, Bolshinov isn't going to get the maximum points. He should come through for 2nd here overall, or is he just going to nick in ahead? No, it's his compatriot Chivotkin who's taking the maximum points there. But still, that's significant work done by Bolshinov, with Klæbo not scoring. Norwegian's lead will come down further. We'll update the standings for you on that. Now all eyes will turn on to how much Bolshinov can do in the overall race victory category and the big points that go on offer with that. The bonus points having been dished out now. Some of the others now coming through a drift of the lead pack. A really good day it's turning into here in Oslo for Alexander Bolshinov, continuing his fine run of form. Seefeld last weekend and putting the hammer down on Johannes Klæbo here in their overall battle. So replay then of that last bonus. Bolshinov having to make do for second, but with Klæbo not scoring, still goes down as a good section there for the Russian. So the final, sixth and final bonus points on offer. Alexander Bolshinov second through there. As you can see, Klæbo nowhere to be seen in the scoring. Not scoring again, as he did in the previous stages, having won the first three. We'll update the World Cup standings, but now, to be honest, those updated standings could become even better for Bolshinov. Oh, this is tough at this point. This is a little section here, around just after 3 kilometers in after that bonus. Little steep section, and that's what I mentioned, that this course is so challenging because it just doesn't give you much respite. There are those little hills constantly to sap away at your energy. And at this point, after almost 2¼ hours out there in difficult conditions, with the light snowfall that we've had for large parts of the race, even more demanding. Here are the updated standings then. Just 51 points now separating Klæbo and Bolshinov. 76 coming in, so Bolshinov has done a great job in this event, and it could get even better for the Russian with the overall race victory points on offer to come. And he's right in the mix for those. In third position at the moment in the lead group, with the promise of even more. Still such a big group. Wouldn't count out those guys there, just keeping touch with the lead group. How many are there? I mean, we're talking about 15 skiers there who could get in contention for the podium, should it be a massed finish. Up to 2¼ hours in now. Bonus points having been decided, but still significant action to come here. 5.4 kilometers to go. It was Chivotkin, of course, at that final bonus ahead of Bolshinov and Berman. But Larkov, Vilekjanin, Ilya Semikov, a name that I mentioned might not be so familiar to everyone, is putting a great race together, the Russian. Martin Jonsrud, Sundby there, and Schur-Rother in the top 8. That was at about 5.5 kilometers to go. Now they're here with, at this stage now, about 4, just under 4 left on the race. Closing stages of the Holmenkollen. Russian supporters are enjoying what they're seeing here, because we're focusing a lot on Bolshinov and the overall World Cup race, but in terms of this race, well, there's Russians involved as well here elsewhere. Turning into a great day for them with Alexei Chivotkin involved there, Maxim Vilekjanin, Andrei Larkov. Really looking to threaten the Norwegian dominance here. Ilya Semikov as well, unheralded name. Now starting to move away here, Semikov, with a little over 3 kilometers to go. He moves into the main stadium area here. Semikov leading the way now for the first time ahead of Sumbi and Larkov and Vilek. The pace is starting to hot up here with just over 3 to go. This really is anyone's at this stage, but Semikov is trying to stretch them, trying to make a push here. Is it a little bit too early with still over 3Ks to go? Only he will know that. He'll know the respective condition of their body at this point. It really is set up for an exciting conclusion here. Look at the lead group, all in touch. But it's Semikov here looking to stretch the pace. Vilek, the Olympian, right alongside him, his fellow Russian. Sumbi right in touch as well. Who's going to win this? All set up for a super exciting finish here. Semikov tried to stretch the field, the 25-year-old. They've pulled him back in. Doesn't actually have Semikov tons of experience, the 25-year-old. Raced in the in World Cups this year. He's done more in the World Cup calendar. A lot of 15K classic events that he's competed in, but really just top 15 finishes his best. In Otepää a couple of times, he was top 15 in Ruka as well, in the classics as well, their 15K classics. He was top 20 there. Konya as well, and Otepää again in a sprint. Doesn't have the same level of experience as some of these other guys, Semikov, but he's more than matching them at the moment. Another one of these climbs here. Just looking at the gradient of the course here with not far to go now. Mini sections, mini ascents. Vilek in here, alongside Larkov. The Russians taking it in turns to hit the front. 2.5 kilometers to go now, that's all. With Vilek leading the way, Larkov in behind. It's a Russian 1-2-3 at this stage. Semikov in third position. Alex Harvey's done very well there to nip in ahead of Sumbi. Bolshinov only 4.4 seconds back as well. Really is too close to call at the moment, this one. So tight, so well poised. The moment the Russians out in front and the rest trying to keep up with them. Well, the organisers, I think, even with the history of this event, could not have hoped for much more. Difficult conditions to start this race with the light snowfall has contributed to a slower race pace than we might have expected. We're almost 2 hours and 20 minutes in. We've still got about 2Ks to go. But at the moment, it's set up for a thrilling conclusion. International flavour, international interest to this. Norwegians, of course, involved, but at the head of things, it's Russians in the top positions, and particularly Alexander Bolshinov, who has got his own battle going on here, trying to cut Johannes Husvik-Klæbo's overall World Cup lead. A little over 1.5 kilometers left. Bolshinov would really love the race victory ahead of his compatriots. But is he going to get it here? Because this is extremely competitive. So many threats around him. He'd love the maximum points to cut Klæbo's lead well and truly down, but also, of course, he'd love the victory. They all would. This is one they all want to win. Said that at the outset, and 48.5 kilometers in. No one's changing that opinion. Little looks round as well. Those out on the track at their rivals. It's interesting looking around the key contenders here, the group, who might likely prevail in a sprint finish. I actually kind of like Vilek in there. Still a little way to go whether he can keep up with the general pace. Vilekjanin, a pretty good sprinter. Larkov as well, good in that category. Bolshinov, just a very good all-round cross-country skier. It is looking likely to be a sprint finish to decide this. Who will prevail? Certainly a Russian flavour this year's Holmenkollen, with Norwegian sprinkling in there. Last Russian winner of this race, Alexander Ledkov, back in 2013. You look at the last 9 years of this event now, the past decade, Norwegians winning the race on 6 occasions. Dario Colonia last year, the Swiss. Ledkov, the Russian, back in 2013, and Daniel Rickardsson, the Swede, in 2014, the ones who've broken that dominance, the likes of Petter Northug and Eldar Running, Sjur Rota, who's out on the course as well at the moment, and Martin Jonsrud Sundby, who's there in contention as well. Could Sundby possibly win this for a third time? Can become the first man to win 3 50K World Cup races here in Oslo, Sundby, if he can suddenly find something here. But he's going to have his work cut out, you feel. Because the Russians here, the Russian threat is real. And Vilekjanin is now stepping up the pace, as I suspected. Here with not long to go, he's got an incredible turn of speed, Vilekjanin. We saw it in the Sochi Olympics when he was at home. And he's really putting it on now, and can they match him? He'll go again, I'm sure, as well. But he leads the way, his Russian compatriots in behind him. Bolshinov is well placed there in third spot. Larkov as well, just in behind Vilekjanin. Just in behind them, you can see all the jockeying for position here now. Trying to go on the outside there, it's a risky strategy. In the tracks here firmly, the 1, 2, 3. Bolshinov, Larkov, Vilekjanin. Is it going to be a Russian lockout of the podium here in Oslo? It's a possibility. Not long to go now. Vilekjanin still leading the way. Ahead of Bolshinov, just on the outside of him. With Larkov just in behind them. The Russian 1, 2, 3. And they've got a little gap now here. Really putting the hammer down here to the finish. It's looking like a Russian 1, 2, 3, but which way is it going to go? It's Vilekjanin with Bolshinov right alongside him. Bolshinov with a tremendous turn of pace. Bolshinov coming through towards the finish line. This is a real statement here for Alexander Bolshinov, who wins the Holmenkollen 50K and in the process slices Johannes Hosfot Klæbo's overall World Cup lead as well. What a day for the Russians and for Bolshinov in particular, the winner of the Holmenkollen here in Oslo. See how pleased they are about it. A Russian lockout of the podium as well here. It's a race that the Norwegians have dominated, of course, over the years, but for once they were second best. Superb performance from the Russian athletes involved here, and particularly from Alexander Bolshinov. Takes the acclaim of his compatriots and his team. He timed that brilliantly. The second half of the race, all the bonus points, and then the race victory on top. A dream day here in Oslo for the Russian Alexander Bolshinov. Some performance. The victor here in Oslo, Bolshinov. Well, it was a thrilling Holmenkollen, as it often always is here in Oslo, and it's a story of Russian dominance. A 1, 2, 3, a lockout of the podium, and for Alexander Bolshinov, runner-up at the World Championships 50K last weekend in Seefeld, going one better, winning this race for the first time. The action continues from here at the Holmenkollen Ski Festival through the course of the weekend. We'll be back with the Nordic Combined very soon, the Gundersen 10-kilometre, and then the ski jumping as well as the 30K, the women's 30K here at the Holmenkollen, which is on, of course, on Sunday. Therese Johaug, one of the favourites there. We'll see you later.